Hello, everyone. This is the November edition of the podcast Anita Says, my view of the global world of Indian dance. I begin this month with an excerpt from a poem by Joseph Fasano. Words whispered to a child under siege. No, we are not going to die. The sounds you hear knocking the windows and chipping the paint from the ceiling, that is a game. The world is playing. Our task is to crouch in the dark as long as we can and count the beats of our own hearts. Sing, sing louder. Those aren't boot steps. Those aren't sirens. Those aren't flames. Close your eyes, like chess, like hide and seek. When this game is done, you get another life. It is a strange time to be talking and thinking about dance and art, but it is never a wrong time to reinforce our belief in the power of the creative soul to illuminate the darkest corners of hate. We are smack in the middle of colorful festivals, filled social calendars, busy travel schedules, and of course, the inevitable rehearsals and preparations for the annual cultural season in India and everywhere else. The colors of autumn are at their glorious peak in North America, and temperatures in India are beginning their downward dip. I am here not including the Southern Hemisphere countries who are readying for summer. I still find it hard to adjust to that state of mind and body. It is the best time of the year, and our international colleagues are beginning to arrive. Now a trickle, but the momentum will gather steam in the coming weeks. Prepare for the deluge. My first subject. #Art in the time of war. What are we preoccupied with, if not our art? Is it the turmoil that has been unleashed in the Middle East that threatens to consume more than its geographical region? Is it the souring of Indo-Canadian relations? As opinions, misinformation, and horror are heaped upon us through daily updates, how is the artistic community grappling with the fallout? Our team on the Narthaki platform are staying in touch with Canadian artists to understand how they are coming together in vigorous online discussions and private chat groups to stay focused on their creative missions, thereby hoping to tide over the politicians' missteps. In moments of great conflict, what is the role of an artist? Israeli actors, dancers, musicians, and other creatives have all been called for reserves in army duty. The noble initiative of several Palestinian and Israeli artists to come together and understand the decades-long unrest has not been in vain. Museums and theatre activities have brought citizens of both sides together through the medium of the performing and visual arts. The Jaffa Salon of Palestinian art has a permanent collection in Tel Aviv, Israel. I recollect the famous Israeli dancer Rina Schoenfeld, who performed at the Other Festival in Chennai in 2003. One of her memorable solos was wearing a hat enveloped with barbed wire, denoting the common sight of the dangerous fence that had become a permanent installation in the Gaza Strip, dividing Israel and Palestine. Her mouth moved in silent frenzy and urgency, her body and face conveying the hopeless despair of an impasse that continues for decades. Chennai-born theatre director Deepankar Mukherjee and his wife Meena Natarajan have worked extensively with Palestinian actors and playwrights at their Pangea World Theatre in Minneapolis. They have constantly marveled at the intensity and fervor that these artists brought to their craft every single day. Quote, "They perform as if it was their last breath. Tomorrow is so uncertain in their lives that they bring an amplified presence to every minute of their performance." End quote. Academics are being forced to take sides about the conflict without the benefit of a centrist discourse. At a moment when art and politics intersect like never before, is the creative process the vaccine the world needs? Do the methods and practices of great artists provide the antidote for the social and emotional pandemics of our times? Apathy, loneliness, disillusionment, helplessness, and polarization. While very few Indian arts organizations may be thinking on these lines, I feel strongly about sharing these thoughts as they continue to preoccupy my mind amidst the bustle of rehearsals and the upcoming 25th anniversary of a passion project of mine. I move on to the Silver Jubilee reenactment of Kaisika Natakam. It was in 1996 that theatre professor S. Ramanujam met me with Na Muthuswamy, founder of modern Tamil theatre company Koothupattai. I was alerted to the state of a defunct ritual theatre form that once flourished in my father's ancestral temple town of Tirukkurungudi in southern Tamil Nadu. The theatre performance was called Kaisiki Natakam. That meeting started the research journey and the slow revival of a fascinating story of a humble devotee, Nambaduvan, who triumphed over all social obstacles to win the blessings and favour of Lord Vishnu Nambi. The script, on a palm leaf manuscript, runs for 6 hours long. It's a story of caste, class, and the power of faith and music. The purpose of the all-night performance was to keep the devotees awake and entertained as they would have fasted all day, a process called Jagra Vradam. Written in conversational Tamil that is accessible to all, the elaborate and multi-pronged research involved numerous scholars, linguistic specialists, ethnographic experts, and theatre professionals. The artists in the Tanjavur district were identified to help reconstruct the play, and the first performance was in December 1999 inside the temple precincts with the idol of Vishnu Nambi in attendance. In December 2020, at the height of the pandemic, when the Nambi temple was shut to all devotees, the performance was conducted with only the idol of Vishnu Nambi as, quote, chief guest. This year, on November 23rd, 2023, thousands will gather at the shrine from across India and elsewhere to watch the 25th reenactment and enjoy a 3.5-hour edited performance that includes music, dance, spoken word, and ritual. As the chief patron of this revival project, it is a momentous milestone in my artistic graph. From an audience of a mere 50 people in 1999 to over 3,000 today, the cultural revival has made the Nambi temple a bustling core of activity and worship. I remember with gratitude the pioneering efforts of Professor Ramanujam and Guru Herambanathan Babu Pillai, without whose dedication the 25th event would not have become a reality. Both are not with us, but their spirit guides all the artists and myself. The annual reenactment of Kaisiki Natakam from 1999 to the present has been a visible and palpable example of teamwork and the power of faith. I move on. New Yorkers who love dance. I may have missed the changing of the leaves during my recent visit to New York City, but I attended 2 evenings of Fall for Dance at the city centre. Watching the controlled and exquisite movements of Bijoyini Satpathy performing Sita Haran was a treat. In the triple bill evening, which is the hallmark of this popular dance event, Bijoyini, accompanied by a 4-member musical ensemble, seamlessly shifted from the characters of Maricha the deer, Jatayu the vulture, Ravana, Lakshmana, Sita, and Rama. With no announcements except for the cheerful introduction by the centre's director, the audience watched the Odissi artistry without knowing the narrative. The applause at the end was enthusiastic, though somewhat muted in comparison to the rousing ovations received for the following 2 performances. The breathtaking finale was the Brazilian contemporary dance group from Sao Paulo called Grupa Corpo. Undulating spines, a stunning set with black pods where the dancers disappeared to catch their breath before their next entry, and non-stop, high-energy movements had the entire audience holding their breaths. The eruption of applause and standing ovation, accompanied by loud hoots and by dance students in the rafters, was a fitting finale to the 10-day dance event that is a shining example of how New York City embraces the art of dance. what struck me were the concise program notes in a compact printed brochure. For Sita Haran, Bijoyni credited Guru Kelucharan Mahapatra for the original choreography and Pratima Gauri for the reimagination. Music was also credited as an adaptation from the original score. The date of the premiere of the work, when Bijoyni was principal dancer with Nrityagram, was also mentioned, 1997. Now, this is the point I have encouraged dancers to think about seriously. Dating a work. Even if you are performing a traditional Varnam, an Andal Pasharam, or a Meera Bhajan, you can mention the composer, the century of the composer, and also first date of the premiere, that is, when you first performed it, when you learnt it from your guru or a choreographer who first taught you the piece. And then you can mention reimagined by. This establishes the timeline and the historicity of the piece and gives both the audience and the critic a reference point of how far the composition has travelled with a particular artist. Now let's move to the tricky topic of copyright and who owns what. The issue of copyright continues to confuse many performing artists. But there are several ways to protect creative work with access to social media and the various tools currently available to document the entire process, from ideation and conception to creation and the final production. The key is to document, photograph, write down, film, and even email any discussions about the creative process or the choreographic choices immediately after or during the interactions. Of course, having an IP lawyer to consult helps, but in most cases, there are steps that the artists themselves can take before stepping into court, which should be the last recourse. Importantly, the right to adapt, reimagine, edit should remain with the performer. For Indian conditions, this is particularly useful since the same show is invited to hotels, parks, stadiums, theatres, private homes, and even schools. Each audience demands a shift in duration and aesthetics. So this right must remain with the performing team. Acknowledging the collaborators is also a very good way, crediting the original team of dancers. For instance, I have placed on record the 9 dancers who were co-creators with me for 7 months for the making of Nachiyar Next. Without their active participation and implicit trust in the process, the now widely acclaimed production would not have taken shape. The words inspired by is another useful credit to add, since so many dancers are, quote, inspired by several performances they see. Unfortunately, in many instances, the original ideas are blithely, quote, lifted without any credit. The Instagram handles of Narthaki Official and my personal Instagram handle, anitaratnam.official, have carried some specific suggestions for performers to get started on the issue with a 10-point note to protect the choreographic, creative, and collaborative process. There's good news now. New theatres being designed and built by creative people. When Veena Pani Chawla designed her Adi Shakti Theatre in Auroville, I knew that it would be artist-friendly. Performing there and at Natarani in Ahmedabad that Mallika Sarabhai manages and runs have been wonderful experiences. Similarly, at the Akshara Theatre in New Delhi, a passion project of actor Jalabala Vaidya. All 3 spaces have backstage, green room space designed to combat the claustrophobia that is caused by so many Chennai auditoriums. Rangashankara in Bangalore is another gorgeous space, as is Prithvi Theatre in Mumbai. Now, lighting designer Charles has created Mede in Bangalore. Shijit and Parvati have opened Sakhi in the outskirts of Chennai, and Parshvanath Upadhyay is building his dream theatre in Belgaum in Karnataka. Contemporary dancer and founder of the successful Attakalari company Jayachandran has a multi-crore complex dream for the arts planned in Bengaluru. With Sanjoy Roy of Teamwork Arts New Delhi being named in the list of 100 most powerful people in India by Hello Magazine, this seems to be a good time to focus on the positions of arts management and arts curation as an income-generating skill. We are tired of middle-aged, unqualified men and women who are accountants, hospitality managers, IT specialists, MBA corporates running the music and dance sabha system. Their lens is provincial and does not take the time to investigate and pick the new generation of performing arts talent. Cultural mapping is what national academies like Sangeet Natak should be investing in. An artistic director, separate from the choreographer and producer, should become the norm for performing arts groups. Audience development, upskilling for choreographers, gurus, and money management tools. There is so much to be done to pluck dance and music out of the cottage industry mentality that persists in India. It will be disappointing if the new generation of dancers, presenters, continue to practice the casual and sloppy attitudes of the past. Quality and commerce can coexist. Now I want to put a thought to you about Carnatic soundscapes. Have you noticed a significant common factor with three artists? Bijoyni Satpathy, Akram Khan and Zakir Hussain? All three performers have inducted Carnatic-trained musicians and percussionists into their core ensemble. Now, why would Odissi, Kathak and Hindustani music-leaning styles even look at a Carnatic presence? It goes much deeper than the superficial observation that these artists are looking for, quote, a global appeal. B.C. Manjunath has sparkled in Akram Khan's performances ever since I saw him in the flamenco collaboration. His performance for Zenos was outstanding, with the spoken konakol and syncopated percussions adding depth and mood to the brooding performance. Singer Bindu Malini is a crossover performer whose voice range soars in Carnatic folk and Hindustani traditions. But her Carnatic music training is clearly audible in her vocalization for Bijoyni. However, it has also given another dimension to the curvy linear form of Odissi and has given Bijoyni what she quotes as "my new sound" for her dance experiments. As for the rock star Selva Ganesh, it is his father Ghatam Maestro Vikku Vinayakaram who helped Zakir Hussain ground his playful rhythms into a more exciting and complex format. Vikku sir's genius and Zakir's playful artistry made for a beautiful chemistry, and now son Selva Ganesh carries forward the collaboration as the musical ensemble tours to worldwide acclaim. In reality, it is only Bharatanatyam that is ready to experiment with musical styles. Tabla, clarinet, trombone, cello, trumpet, harmonium, piano, guitar, djembe, cajon, the didgeridoo have all been used, now and then to mostly positive responses. I don't see the same spirit of pan-Indian cross-cultural oral adventures happening in other Indian styles. Here she comes again, yet again, the Devadasi. My next topic. If diversity, equity and inclusion are the key words for the times, then why is an English play about hereditary artists featuring only upper caste performers being staged? Did the Chennai-based director, playwright and actors of Kamalakshi not receive the note about how out of step they could be with the current discourse? The Madras Players Theatre Group's rule of only mounting English language plays made for an awkward and stilted Tamilish accent which many in the audience felt were forced. I did not attend the performance but heard that the houseful crowd seemed to enjoy the show. As the curtain lifted, I heard there was a loud applause that went out for the temple set, designed by our long-term collaborator Victor Paulraj and his Studio 7 team. A glib assumption of claiming to know the complex world of hereditary artists is in itself problematic. I myself have had to unlearn and relearn many closely held ideas and wonder why there was no attempt at creating diversity in the casting of the play. The Devadasi has been marginalized and silenced for decades through so many versions of writing, cinema, dance and theatre. Now a play like Kamalakshi in 2023 could once again polarize opinion and fill the pages of X with acerbic comments. A piece of advice for the younger generation. The Karana Kavacham, or perhaps it's a suggestion to prepare for the season ahead. What one needs to develop is a thick armor plate of protection from haters and naysayers. Barbs, insults, slurs and ignorance become arrows, stones and bullets that need to be deflected so as to not pierce our psychological mind screen. For performers who are coming into India for the cultural season with new ideas and perhaps even a new evening-length work, you must all be prepared like the anti-hero of the Mahabharata. Always wear a protective psychic armor. Karna was invincible as long as he wore that golden armor and earrings gifted to him from birth by his father Surya, the sun god. But his own mother Kunti requested him to remove it so her other 5 sons could win the great war. A mother knowingly asking her eldest son to accept defeat and death. Life deals us many a blow, betrayal coming even from our closest inner circle. But on no occasion should we sacrifice our own Karana Kavacham, that impenetrable chest plate that will protect us from negativity and hate. Poor crowds, tech flubs, costume malfunctions, ignored by organizers and reviewers, orchestra mood swings, even inclement weather. Anything can happen during a performance. We ourselves may not be in top form, but if we do our best, decide to dance with joy and wear that protective armor like a psychic shield, then whatever is thrown at us will not hurt us. So, wear that Karana Kavacham. Step onto that stage. When the lights dim, the curtain rises. Your spirit must be honed like a warrior and boom! It's showtime. Perform like it was your last breath. To everybody celebrating festivals from diverse faiths, whatever brings joy your friends and family closer, do it. When you burst or light fireworks this Deepavali, please be kind to the animals around you. It is ironic that we call the special 1000 string cracker the Lakshmi Vedi. The word Vedi in Tamil means bomb. And it's eerie that while crackers are burst loudly in one part of the world to celebrate vanquishing of dark forces, real Vedis are killing so many innocents in another part. Well, such is life. So, honor yourselves. The dancing body is the first and last site of personal democracy. Guard it, take care of it, nurture it, cherish it. Until next time, this is Anita Ratnam with the November edition of Anita Says.